Who is Tim Blake Nelson's mystery character in Dune Part 2? Welcome back to Nerdist News. I'm Dan Casey, and today we're getting awfully spicy by taking a trip back to Arrakis. On Friday, The Hollywood Reporter reported that Dune 2 has added the leader himself, Tim Blake Nelson, to this highly anticipated sequel. Tim Blake Nelson is the latest to join this sprawling sci-fi saga alongside Florence Pugh as everyone's favorite future historian Princess Irulan, Austin Butler as the Elvis of the Duniverse Fade Rautha, Léa Seydoux as the Bene Gesserit Lady Margot Fenring, and Christopher Walken in the role he was born to play, the Padishah Emperor of the known universe Shaddam Carino IV.
Impossible!
The cast is as stacked as ever, but the real question is, who's Tim Blake Nelson playing and why is it being kept such a secret? We're gonna break it all down for you in just a moment, but quick, a first word of disclosure. Nerdist is a part of Legendary Digital Networks, and our cool corporate dad Legendary is producing Dune and Dune Part 2. We'd be talking about this movie anyway, but we want to be upfront with you all the time, always. Now, also, to talk about this, we have to spoil some elements of Dune Part 2. So if you haven't read the books and you want to go into this movie without being filled with terrible purpose or being consumed by prescient visions of the future, leave now while you still can.
Get off me!
Okay, let's get into it, shall we? So when it comes to Dune roles that are still seemingly uncast, one stands above the rest, and one that could be perfect for Tim Blake Nelson. I am, of course, talking about Count Casimir Fenring. Given Léa Seydoux's casting as the Count's Bene Gesserit wife, it's all but guaranteed we'll see Count Fenring make an appearance as well. Fenring plays a small but vital role in the second half of Dune's sweeping story of political intrigue, plots within plots, and murders most foul. Fenring is one of the Emperor's most trusted confidants, serving at various times as both an Imperial agent on Arrakis and governor of Arrakis during the Harkonnen transition of power. He also dabbles in a little assassination, as a treat. But as we've seen in the world of Dune, alliances shift like the desert sands, even if you're walking without rhythm so you don't attract the worm.
Run!
Now, we first meet the Count and his wife in the books on the Harkonnen homeworld of Gaiety Prime. They're watching Baron Harkonnen's hot nephew Fade Rautha compete in a gladiatorial death match. And what makes Fenring particularly important is that, much like Paul, he's also a product of the Bene Gesserit's breeding program to bring about the Kwisatz Haderach. You know, the Kwisatz Haderach, it's a fancy term for the Chosen One. Now, together with his wife, Count Fenring will have a major impact on the course of both the Harkonnens and the Atreides story as it comes to a thrilling conclusion in Part 2. As for Tim Blake Nelson, Fenring seems like the perfect kind of unsettling character for him to play. Between his memorable turns in Nightmare Alley, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and Watchmen, TBN absolutely has what it takes to bring a character like Fenring to life and make a seismic impact big enough to summon Shai Hulud himself. But while Fenring's the casting that longtime Dunatics are most rapidly awaiting, it's not the only role that Nelson could be playing in Dune Part 2. We think there's a very strong second option worthy of consideration. One group of characters who did show up in the first half of the book, but not the first film, were the Tueks, a family of spice smugglers, because the family that smuggles together stays together. After old Papa Esmar Tuek is killed in the attack on the Arrakeen Palace in the book, son Staban Tuek has a bone to pick with the Harkonnens, and he teams up with everybody's favorite Balisette player / weapons master, Gurney Man. That's right, Gurney Halleck.
I am smiling.
Unlike basically everyone else on Team Atreides, Gurney did not shuffle off this mortal coil, and he will return in Part 2, hopefully with a battle pug, to help Paul and company fight back against their Harkonnen oppressors. Last we saw of poor Gurney in the movie, he was charging into battle against the Harkonnen forces and the Sardaukar in Arrakeen. So will he team up with Tim Blake Nelson as a skeezy smuggler Staban to kick some Harkonnen ass? Well, in the book, Paul reunites with Gurney when Paul and the Fremen confront Staban and the spice smugglers, and that could be a great moment to recreate on the big screen.
You young puppy! You young pup!
Only time will tell, but considering the hardscrabble nature of this role, it definitely feels to be perfectly aligned with Tim Blake Nelson's previous roles. And seeing Josh Brolin and Tim Blake Nelson together on an IMAX screen sounds like the things that prescient dreams of the future are made of. And if they meet up with Stilgar, it'll be like a mini Coen Brothers cast reunion. Although the jury's still out on if a sandworm is actually scarier than Anton.
Call it. Call it, yes. For a whole lot. Just call it.
Of course, there are still several other minor roles that Tim Blake Nelson could also be playing, like an agent of the Spacing Guild, a member of the Emperor's entourage, or the Harkonnen slave master on Gaiety Prime. Or maybe he's just inexplicably playing the singing cowboy again from Buster Scruggs. You know, Buster Scruggs. He's the eponymous Buster Scruggs. Anyway, we'll find out soon enough when Dune Part 2 hits theaters on November 3rd. Anyway, folks, there you have it. Those are the characters that we think Tim Blake Nelson could be playing in Dune Part 2. We'll keep you up to date on anything else related to this Sandy sequel over on Nerdist in the meantime. For now, though, tell us, what do you think about this news? Who do you think Tim Blake Nelson is playing? And who do you want to see him share the screen with?
With me! With me!
Let us know in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.